Hello everybody, good morning. My name is Tiffany, I'm the Tipsy Artist, and we're doing a little live video this morning for this beautiful painting back here. It's called I Love You to the Moon and Back Again. So we have a little mini version here that we're gonna go ahead and do for the class. And let me talk to you about the kit that we have that comes with this because it makes it very easy. So there's a lot going on here, but I do have a traceable for this. So it provides all the line art for you, and we even give you the graphite paper, and you just I use a colored pencil to do the transfer work, so it makes it super fun, super easy to do. So there's that. And I went ahead for today, I went ahead and just did it all before I started. So this gives you an idea of what I've got. But in the very beginning, when I first have it down on the canvas, it's actually a really light graphite transfer. So it looks just basically like pencil. So it is erasable, so that's good. So there's some forgiveness there. But then what I do is I also like to come back in and follow up with a little bit of Sharpie to help firm that up, but that's definitely optional. And you can leave it as just a really nice light graphite if you like a softer look with your painting. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I've got paint with my kit too, so I'll show you what that looks like as well. Maybe. I don't want to knock stuff over. Let's see. Look how pretty. Aren't those beautiful? Okay, so there's our paint. And then we have brushes that come with the kit too. So I've got my mama brush and my little buddy brush and then my little bit brush. All right, and then of course it comes with a canvas too, so everything that you need. All right, so here we go. All right, so this one back here was done with a black background. I am going to change it up a little bit today. I'm going to do something a little bit lighter and brighter, more neutral. So I'm going to be using a little bit more of some white, and I am starting with my mama brush, big nice flat brush there. And I'm going to start with a big dollop of the white. And then I want just a teeny tiny amount of black, so I just barely touch into that black. So I'm going to make like a light gray. And then the other thing that I might add in here too, I might just do a teeny amount of some blue too, just kind of every now and then, just kind of push that into the mix. All right, I want to make sure I'm showing you. Sometimes I don't pay attention to what y'all see, and I need to. So there's big dollop of white, just barely a little touch into the black, barely a little touch into the blue, and this is a cobalt blue here. And then I'm going to go ahead and start pushing this into my background. And I do little cross strokes. So I hold the brush parallel to the canvas. And that allows the flat side of the brush to face the canvas. Allows a lot more paint to just rest over the surface. And then basically here, I've got this done in Sharpie so it will bleed through, and I did that as a time-saving step. Or you can just wait and do all of your lettering later after your paint completely sets up and dries. So I'm just going to go ahead and just push this all the way through here. So again, lots of the white. Lots of white over here. And that little bit of gray will mix in with the black, and it will kind of make like a nice little slate look too. Oh, thank you, and hello, Shannon. Yes, this will give you sweet dreams at night. It's our dream catcher. I think a lot of people do this for nurseries. Seems like that's the request that I normally get, but I think it's good for grown-ups too. We all need sweet dreams. The other thing you could do here too is you can always put just a really pretty name up here too, or a monogram letter. Those are also some nice little steps that you can do. All right, I'm gonna dip into a little bit blue so you can see how tiny it is. I don't use that much, just a little bit on this. And I just push that back and forth in like a little bit of a cross stroke. So it kind of looks like I make the letter X just over and over again. And then I'm going to get near the edge of the line art, but I can do a little bit of a sloppy overpaint, if you will, just because I know that it will bleed through, and it just helps me relax through the process. So I'm being pretty casual with this first layer of paint here. Now, if you only had the graphite, I would not recommend that. I would try to be quite a bit more tidy as you get near the edges, because you'll lose that beautiful line work that you did. And the other thing you can do too, which is also nice, you can actually do your entire background first. Get all this really beautiful undercoat of painting done first, and that way you can really enjoy it, relax with it. Then you can take your graphite paper and the traceable and you can place it over the top. A lot of people do that too, and that's a really nice way to work as well. But just lots of little X's here. Dip into that blue again. You can also just do a teeny amount of black every now and again too. Be really careful with that black. You can see how dramatic it is. It really makes an impact. See, it's very, woo. But I'll push in a lot more white to really soften it back up. I'll come in with a little bit of a bigger brush here. Kind of help smooth that out a little bit, eliminate some of those brush strokes. This is my Big Daddy brush too. We have this brush available as well. I use this a lot with my classes. I want to make sure I don't want that to bleed through, so get that excess paint off there. Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and take Mama. I'm gonna put her into my water here, give her a little bath. Let her rest there. Anytime you're using acrylic paint with your brushes, you always want to make sure to go ahead and place them into the water just in case. I mean, if you can, wash them right away, but if you can't, you're busy with partying and such, or just having fun, just make sure you put them into the water to rest. That way they will not dry with acrylic paint on there, because the acrylic paint does dry pretty quickly and it will turn your brushes into sticks, and you don't want that. So just let them rest in the water until you get a chance to clean them off. And again, this mix is just a lot of white, little tiny amount of the blue, and every now and again, just a super tiny amount of black. I mean, I just barely touch into it because it's so overpowering. And if that scares you a little bit, you can almost do a little bit of a pre-mix with that gray again, just to get more of that going. That way you're not struggling with big black marks on your canvas that you might not be able to soften up. All right, so I'm going to push back in a few more bright highlights of just white. Okay. So it's a little bit different than what we have in the model. The model here is just pure black paint, no mixing on that, pretty straightforward approach. That definitely, I would wait till the very, very end to do all of the black if you're gonna do black, because it will interrupt a lot of your bright colors. Always start with the lightest colors first and then end with all of your black. So if I were doing the black, I would have just I start with all my brights first, and then I would finish up with black outlines, and then I would just finish up with black in the background. So I've got a lighter, brighter look here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this brush in the water, and now I'm gonna go ahead and place in some really bright colors in here. So I want to use my cadmium yellow here. And I'm going to use my little bit brush, and I'm going to do just a teeny amount of white with that. You know what, I'm going to grab some primary yellow too. So this is my primary yellow. Alright, so I've got cadmium yellow. It has some warmer undertones, almost kind of pushes to that orange side a little bit. And I'll push into this yellow as well, just primary yellow, both of those. And I'll go ahead and work into the moon. And then to get better surface coverage, I'll go ahead and hold that brush more over to the side. So line work at first, you can hold it just like a pencil to get the detail of the line work. And then when you're working into the surface area, then you just want to shift the hold to more of the flat side of the brush. So you want to hold it over to the side, parallel to that canvas. And this is a really pretty light, bright color, so I can come into these. These are going to be roses here, so I can go ahead and work across that. And I know that I can cover that easily here in a moment, so I'm just going to go ahead and work through this shape of the crescent moon here. All right. Quite lovely. And let's see, we're gonna do some roses now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some, let's do some primary magenta. And I'll probably just keep that yellow on there since it really plays nicely with the magenta. Maybe a little bit of white too. Give it some pink. And I'll go ahead and push this into those little circles. And initially these will look like big lumpy circles. So roses are very simple at first. Those beautiful little roses. Now we're going to do the pattern work over the top of those. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my little bit brush. And then I'm actually going to shift to a much smaller one. All right, so this is a little bit too, but it's just quite a bit smaller. I'm going to do a little twist here into the white paint. And I'll do what looks like little tiny parentheses, or like little half circles that come around the shape of the rose. And sometimes I kind of wiggle the brush as I do it. So basically I'm just making like an abstracted petal. And I just kind of push these in a circular pattern. all the way around those little shapes. And even just with the white initially, it already makes a really simple, pretty, delicate rose. I'm going to add one more layer of color, but you can certainly just stop at this point if you wanted to keep it a little bit more minimal and simple. All right, so I'm gonna come in with a little touch of a darker color this time. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick little wipe down with this brush. You can rinse it out completely and dry it off, or I'm just gonna push it off on a paper towel, get it kind of cleaned up a little bit. It's going to a little bit of red. And I'm gonna do a little push right in the center of the rose. It kind of feels like a little comma. So a little tiny comma, and then lift off with a light hand. So that's that little shadow right in the center. I'm adding a little bit of water to my paint. It's been sitting here a couple of days, so under a plate, so it's a little bit, it's stiffened up a little bit. So I need to give it, it's lacking that fluidity that I'm desiring. So I added just a teeny amount of water to that. So there's that fun little shadow right in the center. And then you can add just a few more little, tiny little touches of that dark shadow of red. And again, it's that same little stroke where it's kind of like a wiggly parentheses. And I'm a little bit heavier handed with the white, so I don't come in that much. When I follow up with the darker shadows that come through, I don't use it that much. It's pretty sparing with this. But if you do kind of overpower your white, you can always come back in with more white and just kind of push it back right over the top again. All right, so we have our cute little roses done. They're super sweet. All right. Now I'm going to do the cute little leaves. Okay, so little bit brush again. We've got our white paint. Let's do a little bit of this green, just green and white, real simple. Just brightens it up quite a bit. This is just a cadmium green and a titanium white. Do a little spin with my brush here. And then I'll just lightly go into this little leaf shape. The leaf shape feels like a couple different options here. You can do what feels like a parentheses, or you can do a V, like the letter V. It gives it more of a curve. Hello, Donna, welcome. I'm an early bird today. I'm not normally with y'all this early, but I'm wondering if I can't catch more of my European friends if I come in earlier instead of, because of the time difference. I don't know, we'll see. All right, more little leaves here. These are feeling more like parentheses, parentheses, and then just fill those in. And then this is that fun little, like a letter V. And then I've got these, you know, I may do, I've got that green in it. Well, I'll just stick with green. I was thinking about purple. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I may just do some purple off to the side. Somewhere, just kind of do something different. All right, white, green. Also, the belly of the brush is getting a little bit full. So it's creating a scenario where my lines are not able to be super thin and detailed. So then what I have to do is I have to remember to keep coming into the paint. So every time I load, just twirl it in between your fingertips. So that's what you need to do when you start working and then you realize, uh-oh, it got super thick all of a sudden. All right, those are just so precious. Okay, so precious little leaves. All right, now we're going to do some beautiful little hearts. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do some violet. Okay. All right, so white, violet. Let's go ahead and lighten it up just a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and let's do this one violet. Wonderful. Okay, these other ones I'm going to do in kind of the pink tones. I'll do a coral and then I'll do a pink. So let's get some orange, and we'll do some orange with the magenta and some white. All right, so I've got my magenta, my orange, and my white. Let's go ahead and push those all together. And this will be this guy right in here. My brush got super fast, super fast. All right. All right, so that's that beautiful coral color. This one I want to just be more of a true pink color. So I need to get more magenta on my plate. So here's my magenta. You can also mix a cool red with white to create a really pretty light pink too. All right, so there's our magenta. Here's a little bit of white with that. And then I'll go ahead and push this into the heart. The other thing you can do too, this warms it up a little bit, but let's show you what it looks like with a little bit of cadmium red. So cadmium red is a warm red. So warm red, magenta. And I had a little bit of white there. And by the way, this is still my little bit brush. And to get it to be a nice fine point, you can do that little twirl because boy, it's just filling up real quick. So you can get back to that nice tiny point on the end by twirling it just a little bit. And then when you want to get a nice overlay over the top here, you can just take that same brush and just lightly place it on the side of the brush. The other thing you can do too is, this is such a big heart, you can actually take your mama and just real carefully kind of lightly go over the top, and that will give you nice coverage over the surface area again too, and fills it in nicely and eliminates all those sometimes tiny little brush strokes that happen with a smaller brush. All right, so we have some beautiful brights coming out in front now. So now I want to go ahead and do our cute little feathers. and they are just brown and white. So I've got the paint through here, which I think I'm going to go ahead, this is already all painted in here, and it definitely has a little bit of a blue feel to it, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. And to create brown with our kit, you can either just use brown if you have brown paint, or I'm going to mix mine up, so I'm going to use some cadmium red and just a little touch of black. All right, so I have my little bit brush, and I'm going to do a little touch of black in with the cadmium red. And that will take it to a dark brown. All right, really pretty dark brown here. Very rich in color. And I'm going to take my little bit brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just paint into these little stripes. And when we come back in and do the center line and the feathering and the outline of the feathers, it will really make them pop out again like feathers. They're feeling a little bit lost right now, but we will definitely help define them here in a moment and just bring them right back out in front. All right, now I just want the black. I touched into just a teeny amount of water to soften up this black. I'm gonna twist it out. I don't want any excess water in my brush. I just wanted to soften up that paint just a little bit so I can get a nice fine fluid line. And just to be careful as a beginner, anytime you're adding a little bit of water to your canvas, you always want to just go ahead and place it flat. Don't try to work at an angle because you can get water runs that way. So just be safe and just place it flat if you're going to experiment with a little bit of water. All right, so I've twisted it out, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my little outline. And I'm doing tiny little feathering strokes on the side so they are like a slight diagonal and a really light, soft hand. So center line, and the outline. I'm gonna go one more time here into the water. So I'm getting a little bit of that dry brush look. And I want that black to fill in completely. And now I'm gonna do just a few little light feathering strokes right up there at the top. And now I'm coming in with a little bit of a slight, just really faint outline around the tiny little leaves here. That really makes those kind of pop right back out to the front. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the little arrow. So the arrow is just like a really pretty dark charcoal gray. So I'm gonna add just a touch of white to that black. Still using my little bit brush. Fine little detail in here. And then center line of the arrow. And then this little back section here, it's a little bit more of a lighter gray. So I'm going to add a lot more white and then just kind of lightly fill in here. All right, now for some black detail around that arrow. So nice little outline. And then little diagonal lines that come down. And now the other side. And then we had tiny little dashes right in the center of the arrow. And let's do a quick little highlight here, a black, a little bit of a line. And then I want a little white highlight too. Hi, Larry. All right, so let's do a little white right there. Just looks like a little worn edge on the arrow. All right, and little highlights here in the moon. And just a little highlight here on the heart. Okay, so it's looking really awesome. I think I'm almost done. I'm gonna put my brushes in the water, and then I'm going to go ahead and come back. This should all be completely dry now, which it is. And just for the sake of simplicity, and this is really tiny lettering, so I really like to use a Sharpie for this. You can absolutely use your brush, but you want to make sure that your little bit is super tiny. So let me give you an example of that. So, like I try to use that super, super tiny point. And then this one can also work too, but you gotta really, see how it's super tiny at the very top? But you gotta really twist it out. Had to check in, makes your whole day. Yay! Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually painting a lot today. I'll be back on at 12:30 too. Oh, I don't want this one. I want a sharper, let's look for a, there we go. All right, see, I had to get a little bit sharper point on my Sharpie here. All right, so I gotta be careful that I don't go into the rest of my design. But Sharpies are a beautiful thing. Nice little cheat here. And it's also a way that you can get your groundwork done, your foundation done, and then you can kind of just barely go back over and touch up with a teeny amount of your paint. So it has that painterly look. But your little secret is that you've done most of the work with the Sharpie. So that's something else to consider too. Paint pens are another really good investment. So definitely great for beginners. And we do have the lettering for this. What am I doing? And back again. It's like, what am I writing? Yeah, check what you're writing before you write it. Okay. So, example. So see, we have this on the traceable. I went ahead and did that for y'all so that you could just put graphite paper underneath. Make sure this is absolutely completely dry, and then you can line it up to where you do the transfer on top of your work too, so you could get all that lettering done. So, or you could just really simplify it and again do like a name or something like that too if you want to keep it really simple. So, let me see. I've got one more little defining line I want to do, and then I will be done. I'm going to go ahead and do the little moon here with just a little line. So I want, this is my little bit brush, and I'm going to use a little bit of water to soften this paint back up again, and I want this kind of like a dark charcoal color. I don't want it to be super black. Let's see, so just charcoal. So I do that little twist again, and remember my tip about using water in the paint. Definitely makes it more fluid, sometimes easier to use, especially for details. However, do not lay it at an angle on an easel. You want to lay it flat on a table to do that work. All right, so I'm also using my pinky to help stabilize my hand in here. So you rest the weight of your hand on your pinky. I'm going to turn this. Oh, I forgot that little line right there. I'm going to turn this. Sometimes it's easier to get to certain areas. And that was subtle, but I think it definitely helps make that kind of pop back out to the front. And I forgot these little lines. So these are like the little strings that are theoretically connecting the hearts. I'll do a little bit of a shadow. And the strings connecting that. All right. So yay, I think we're done. This is fabulous. All right, so this is I Love You to the Moon and Back Again. And we have the whole kit on our website. That's tipsyartist.com. So check that out. Very fun and easy to paint with, and it's also really cute for a nursery too. So, or for any adult who you would like to wish them to have sweet dreams, happy dreams. Alrighty. So y'all have a beautiful day, and I will see you again at 12:30. We are doing the Courtly Check Sunflower. So it's really cute. Let me see. Hold on, I'll show you. Look at that. Yay! That's what we're doing at 12:30. All right, so I'll see y'all soon. Have a great day.